Have you ever known someone was hurting you but still felt emotionally unable to let go? Maybe you replay fights in your head all night, swear you're done, and then feel overwhelming relief the second they text you back. That kind of attachment can feel confusing, embarrassing, even addictive. A trauma bond is a powerful emotional attachment formed through repeated cycles of pain, confusion, and intermittent affection. And when the other person has strong narcissistic traits, the relationship can become especially disorienting because the same person causing emotional harm also becomes the source of comfort, validation, and relief. That's why leaving often feels harder than outsiders understand. Trauma bonding works a lot like gambling. If a slot machine paid out every single time, it would actually become less addictive. What keeps people hooked is unpredictability. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Your brain keeps chasing the reward. The same thing can happen in unhealthy relationships. Conflict triggers stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Then reconciliation, affection, apologies, or intimacy create dopamine and emotional relief. During moments of closeness, bonding hormones like oxytocin deepen attachment. Over time, your brain starts associating relief with the same person causing the pain. So if you recognize yourself in these signs, it does not mean you're weak. Your nervous system adapted to a repeated emotional cycle. The first sign is feeling unable to leave even when you know the relationship is harming you. You may break up and go back repeatedly. You may feel panic, grief, or physical withdrawal at the thought of separation. Sometimes people stay attached not to who the person is now, but to who they were in the beginning, or who they could become if things finally improved. A useful reality check is this: if nothing changed for 5 years, would you want this life? The second sign is extreme highs and lows. Trauma bonds are emotionally volatile. One week feels euphoric and intensely connected. The next feels cold, punishing, or chaotic. Healthy love usually feels steady. Trauma bonds often feel consuming. You may notice that your nervous system relaxes only when they're pleased with you. The relationship starts revolving around emotional survival instead of mutual connection. The third sign is constantly excusing their behavior. You tell yourself they're stressed, wounded, misunderstood, or dealing with trauma. You focus heavily on the good moments and minimize the bad ones. This often happens because your mind is trying to reduce cognitive dissonance. It's painful to accept that someone you deeply love is repeatedly hurting you, so the brain searches for explanations that preserve hope. A difficult question to ask yourself is, if a friend described this relationship to you exactly as it is, would you still defend it? The fourth sign is walking on eggshells. You rehearse conversations before bringing up concerns. You carefully monitor their mood. A text notification creates dread instead of comfort. Many people normalize this emotionally, but their body tells the truth first. Tight chest, stomach knots, trouble sleeping. Relief when they're in a good mood, anxiety when they seem distant. That hypervigilance is your nervous system adapting to unpredictability. The fifth sign is doubting your own reality. This is where gaslighting often shows up. Conversations leave you more confused instead of more understood. They deny things they clearly said. They rewrite events. They tell you you're too sensitive, dramatic, selfish, unstable, or crazy. Over time, you may start relying on their version of reality more than your own instincts. Some people begin saving screenshots or replaying conversations constantly because they no longer trust their memory. In healthy conflict, clarity usually increases eventually. In manipulative dynamics, confusion deepens. The sixth sign is misplaced loyalty. You feel responsible for protecting them, fixing them, or carrying their emotional world. You hide their behavior from other people because you don't want others judging them. Caretaking can slowly become a survival strategy. You learn that keeping them regulated keeps the relationship stable. Compassion is not the problem. The problem is when empathy requires abandoning yourself. The seventh sign is loss of identity. You stop doing things that once mattered to you. Friends see less of you. Your opinions become smaller. Your life starts revolving around avoiding conflict and maintaining connection. Many trauma-bonded people describe feeling like they're performing a role to be loved. They become hyper-focused on being acceptable instead of authentic. That erosion usually happens gradually, which is why it can be difficult to notice while you're inside the relationship. The 8th sign is craving their approval like it determines your worth. A small compliment feels euphoric. Minor criticism feels devastating. Their attention becomes emotionally regulating. This happens because intermittent validation trains the brain to chase approval more intensely than consistent kindness would. Healthy love does not feel like an audition you constantly have to pass. Ask yourself this: do you feel valued consistently or evaluated constantly? The 9th sign is isolation. Sometimes this is direct. They criticize your friends, create drama around family, or make outside relationships feel threatening. But isolation can also happen quietly. You stop reaching out because you're exhausted or ashamed, or tired of defending the relationship. Eventually, your world shrinks and the relationship becomes your primary emotional reference point. That isolation makes the bond stronger because fewer people are reflecting reality back to you. The 10th sign is physical symptoms of chronic stress, anxiety, brain fog, exhaustion, headaches, digestive problems, depression, panic symptoms, feeling emotionally numb one day and overwhelmed the next. Your body may recognize unsafety before your mind fully does. People often dismiss this by saying, "I'm just stressed lately." But chronic relational stress affects the nervous system deeply. Even during calm periods, the body may remain on alert because it learned the calm probably won't last. Now, it's important not to oversimplify this. Not every difficult relationship is narcissistic. Not every argument is emotional abuse. People can be imperfect, emotionally immature, defensive, or unhealthy without having narcissistic personality disorder. But you also do not need an official diagnosis to acknowledge that a relationship is harming you. The bigger question is the pattern. Is there repeated manipulation, emotional instability, control, confusion, or conditional affection that keeps you emotionally dependent while slowly diminishing your sense of self? A healthy relationship usually creates more stability, openness, and emotional safety over time. You can disagree without fearing abandonment. You can express needs without punishment. You still feel like yourself inside the relationship. A trauma bond usually creates more anxiety, shrinking, confusion, and approval seeking over time. One of the clearest questions you can ask is this: do you feel more regulated and expanded in this relationship, or more anxious and diminished? If you recognize these patterns in your life, the goal is not to shame yourself into leaving overnight. Trauma bonds are powerful because they involve both attachment and fear. Breaking them can feel emotionally and physically overwhelming. Start smaller than your panic tells you to. Prioritize safety first. Reduce emotional exposure where possible. Write down incidents so confusion doesn't erase reality later. Reconnect with one trusted person. Rebuild one routine that belongs to you. Seek trauma-informed support if you can. One friend, one boundary, one piece of clarity at a time. The most important thing to understand is this: your attachment makes psychological sense, but attachment alone is not proof that a relationship is healthy, safe, or loving. Sometimes it's proof that your nervous system adapted to surviving instability.